Un día muy temprano, el viento sopló.
Community works in small ways, like the loving words of encouragement Miss Acevedo gives her 5-year-old student, Eduardo.
Una magnífica.
Muy bien. Okay.
This close attention will help these children grow and blossom, just like the characters in the book she reads aloud. These are students from Acevedo's kindergarten class at Monroe School in Chicago's Logan Square neighborhood. Even though Acevedo teaches in a classroom during the week, on Saturday she gathers her favorite teaching materials and heads to her students' homes.
I love to bring stories to them, to do activities related to the stories. As a parent, sometimes we don't have enough time to dedicate, to the children. And so as a child, I don't remember my mom reading a book to me.
Preguntaba, papá, ten paciencia.
If they are better readers, they're going to be better students.
These students are considered Category 1, meaning English is not their first language. The hope is that if they increase their learning skills in their native tongue and their parents get involved, they'll have an easier time transitioning into an English-speaking classroom next year. I want my kids to study, to have goals, to have a future. They can study whatever they want. I just want them to study. Literacy Ambassadors is a small part of a big push in Logan Square to improve education. Community leaders know that good schools will keep the neighborhood strong. And while Logan Square is developing in other ways, those involved in the NCP planning process know that good community development is about much more than bricks and mortar.
It doesn't matter how beautiful a neighborhood looks or whether you can buy a latte if you don't know your neighbors and if you don't have a reason for feeling connected to your neighbors. And so I think the small projects, be they community building or street fairs or putting in a play lot, that's what kind of holds the neighborhood together, is more than just a place where people happen to live.
For 4 years now, participants in List Chicago's New Communities program have been building healthier neighborhoods through a unique combination of planning, projects, and people, always with a strong commitment to the human connection. NCP helps communities develop in traditional ways, like bringing investors and developers to the table to build affordable housing or new shopping centers. But NCP also gives a voice to residents that know their neighborhood best, and directs money and resources to the places the community says need it most. NCP makes it a point to develop relationships in the neighborhoods themselves. Program officers get involved on the ground. Plus, NCP devotes resources to staff 2 full-time coordinators in each community.
It's community-based planning, it's good leadership, it's putting our funding where our mouths are, making sure that we get the right staff people in place, and then connecting all of that activity with the larger marketplace and also with important political supporters who will make things happen for us in important ways.
That's 16 different ways, as NCP functions in 16 Chicago neighborhoods. Neighborhoods with their own character, their own history, and their own distinct style. But along with the charm come the challenges and the reasons why these neighborhoods can benefit from the NCP connection. The issues vary in size and complexity. Some are evident to anyone driving by. Still others, like low-wage jobs or inadequate health care, are more difficult to notice. While NCP can't fix all the community's challenges, it does gather concerned residents under one roof and gets them talking. Together, they come up with plans to deal with dilemmas of every size. And when they take action, they make sure to tell their stories along the way to show people what they're doing to improve their neighborhood.
All the communications work we do is incredibly valuable and valued by our groups because a lot of time our low-income or Latino African-American neighborhoods are just perceived as places of problems and not places of solutions. They are both.
Inglewood is an NCP neighborhood that in the last 40 years has seen many of the things that make for a good quality of life all but disappear.
You just see them almost on every corner. You'll see those little stores, and they sell liquor mostly and candy and junk. We don't really have a park that children can just walk to.
Residents even had to travel outside the neighborhood to find a grocery store. But today, The movers and shakers of Inglewood have come together, and they're fighting for their neighborhood, turning negative to positive on a large scale. Take the community's large number of vacant lots. With the help of NCP, concerned residents created a plan to turn the neighborhood eyesores into everything from urban gardens to sites for business revitalization. Now we see a new Kennedy King College going up. New businesses, new investment everywhere you look. And last month, Inglewood's first grocery store opened in 30 years, crammed with bins full of fresh produce.
We can see the landscape, the physical landscape, changing very rapidly. It's almost as if you got to keep up with it. People are starting to see that investors are not afraid to invest in Inglewood.
But just because business prospects look bright doesn't mean Inglewood's problems will heal on their own. That's why community members continue to hammer out ways to improve residents' quality of life. They do this all with the vision of what they want their community to look like in the future, despite the problems they must face now to get there.
I imagine it's being a beautiful community, well-kept homes, and people working and children in schools. I want my people to be empowered, and I want them to realize that they can.
16 neighborhoods are pushing for change through planning, gathering, and growing. But when you're doing all that growing, sometimes you need a little more room to spread out. This building is the new home for the Amon Health Clinic, the only no-charge clinic in Chicago Lawn. In January, the clinic will open its doors to patients, just like they did for 3 years in a rented doctor's office a mile up the road. Doctors will be able to see more than double the amount of patients, but that's not the only way Amon will help the community. They began to break down ethnic and racial lines in their old location, as the majority of physicians were Muslim and treated mainly Latinos who lived in the area. They also started a number of programs to educate and reach out to their neighbors. Now, 1 mile east, same neighborhood, the clientele will include African Americans as well, building badly needed bridges among neighborhood residents.
Even when we're in the same neighborhood, we have demarcated spaces for people. You know, that's the Latino pub, that's the Irish bar, that's the restaurant where Arabs go to. Even when we're living with one another, we kind of still perpetuate these ideas that there's areas within which we belong on that block and that we don't cross over.
First, she put it on the cement, and then I stick it on there and hit it hard.
Today, we see unity already forming in Amon's new space as volunteers from the neighborhood gather to create a mural on the clinic's east wall.
There's a lot at stake in terms of how quality of life turns out to be for our communities. These are spaces that we choose to live in, and these are spaces that I think provide a tremendous amount of hope for a diverse, dynamic coexistence, and that's certainly the type of America I want to live in.
With all this activity, with all this time, effort, and careful planning to make a difference, community development becomes more than a new shopping center or row of housing. It's about making sure the new construction or program is a good fit for that community. It's about listening to the residents who will use the new services. It's about having a vision, uniting, and taking charge of your community's future. It's building the type of America you want to live in.